If you've ever visited Japan, you'll know that it is one of the most modern and developed countries in the world, at least architecturally and infrastructure-wise. For at the same time, it is also one of the most conservative and traditional societies on Earth. Everything in Japan appears to be post-war, with the honorable exception of the Gion district of Kyoto and some of the many temples and other buildings, because the Americans surgically bombed to ruins or burned to the ground virtually every single Japanese settlement of any size in the last 18 months of World War II. By August 1945, only a handful of Japanese cities remained fairly intact, but they were kept intact for a rather nefarious reason. They were deliberately preserved so that the effects of a fearsome new weapon could be properly observed and studied. And the first of those new weapons was released above the city of Hiroshima on the 6th of August 1945, after President Harry S. Truman had warned the Japanese government to stop fighting and surrender, or face complete destruction, advice many in the Imperial Cabinet were very reluctant to follow.
A short time ago, an American airplane dropped one bomb on Hiroshima and destroyed its usefulness to the enemy. That bomb has more power than 20,000 tons of TNT. The Japanese began the war from the air at Pearl Harbor. They have been repaid many-fold, and the end is not yet. We are now prepared to destroy more rapidly and completely every productive enterprise the Japanese have in any city. We shall destroy their docks, their factories, and their communications. Let there be no mistake. We shall completely destroy Japan's power to make war. It was to spare the Japanese people from utter destruction that the ultimatum of July the 26th was issued at Potsdam. Their leaders promptly rejected that ultimatum. If they do not now accept our terms, they may expect a rain of ruin from the air, the like of which has never been seen on this earth.
Hiroshima, a city of some 255,000 people, was a legitimate military target, being the headquarters of the Japanese Second General Army, with over 25,000 Japanese troops in the city, not to mention its war industries, and was completely devastated by the world's first atomic attack.
As far as the eye can see, stretch scenes of desolation and ruin. 4 square miles leveled by one bomb, the product of allied science and a climactic answer to the terror and aggression let loose upon the world by Japan.
"66,000 people, including 7,000 soldiers, were killed, and 69,000 people badly injured. Radiation sickness and injuries pushed the eventual death toll to about 140,000. We could debate all day long about the moral and political questions concerning the use of atomic weapons on Japan in 1945, but despite 2 nuclear blasts, the other one being at Nagasaki on the 9th of August 1945, the Japanese government and military still would not surrender. That the atomic bombings helped the process of persuading the Japanese to eventually give up is undoubtedly true, but it was not the only reason for Japan's eventual capitulation on the 15th of August 1945. These questions are out of the scope of this video, and I have addressed them in several of my published books on Japan's military conduct in World War II. The Hiroshima bomb left the city in complete chaos, largely in ruins, and one aspect of the bombing was the destruction of the city's transportation infrastructure.
Transportation facilities were almost completely paralyzed. Automobiles, buses, and bus terminals were extensively damaged by blast and fire. Streetcars were burned out.
Hiroshima had a modern tram, or as the Americans call streetcar system, from 1910 onwards, with several routes, and it was vital to how people moved about the city. In fact, the Hiroshima tram system was the most extensive in all of Japan, encompassing over 20 miles of track. On the 6th of August 1945, Hiroshima Electric Railway had 123 trams in operation, and 108 of them were destroyed or damaged by the bomb, with 185 employees killed. Incredibly, considering the city was effectively leveled that day, trams were in operation by the 9th of August, just 3 days on from the first nuclear attack in history, one of very few things that were able to function partly in Hiroshima. A handful of trams were recoverable following the bombing. Their windows had been blown out and their bodies dented and scarred, but Hiroshima Electric Railway employees managed to get these few trams up and running over the next few weeks, helping to move personnel and casualties around the city, and of course workers to begin reconstruction efforts. And incredibly, 3 of the trams that survived the atomic bombs are still in use today in Hiroshima. In Japan, you often see old trams still working. In Nagasaki, I happily rode extensively old trams that are beautifully maintained, but these are not of wartime vintage. The oldest daily use trams in Nagasaki are the 200 class vehicles dating from 1950 to 51, and the 300 class from 1953, new vehicles brought in during the reconstruction of Japan's second city to be struck by an atomic bomb in World War II. I really like trams, the older ones in particular. In Britain, trams have all but vanished from our cities, with only a handful of cities still having tram services such as Manchester and Edinburgh, though I noted with glee that trams are coming back. For example, South London put in Tramlink in 2000, so there is hope for the tram yet. But if you're in the UK and you like trams, I heartily recommend a visit to the East Anglia Transport Museum in Suffolk, where old trams are kept in working condition, and you can ride them all day long to your heart's content. Hong Kong is another great place to ride older trams, and I've done so on several occasions. The 3 pre-war surviving trams in Hiroshima were all damaged in the blast. Number 653 was 3 kilometers away from the hypocenter at Eba and completely wrecked. It was the closest of the 3 working examples to the blast. Withdrawn from normal service in 2006, it resumed operations in 2015, being restored via the Atomic Bombed Tram Special Operations Project, and is today painted in the color scheme it wore on the 6th of August 1945, grey and blue. Today this tram runs, in the summer only, as part of an educational exhibit concerning the atomic bombing. 2 other 600 series trams from the 6th of August 1945 remain in 2024 in everyday use. Numbers 651 and 652, painted in a green livery similar to the post-war trams they run alongside. They rumble along the same line as they did in 1945, extraordinary working survivors of one of mankind's darkest chapters. And one other atomic bomb train exists in Hiroshima, number 654, which was placed back into service in February 1946 and retired only in 2006. 654 in her World War II livery has been preserved as a static exhibit at the Nomaji Transportation Museum in Hiroshima. 2 other trams not connected to the atomic bombing of Hiroshima but to World War II still exist in the city. Tram number 762 was used in Osaka in the war and suffered damage due to the very heavy US firebombing raids on that city. It was later transferred to Hiroshima post-war with 3 other trams and given the Hiroshima number 762. It is the only one of the wartime Osaka trams still in daily use, and is painted in its World War II Osaka color scheme of brown and cream to recall its wartime heritage. Hiroshima even has a World War II German tram that is only used at Christmas. In 1983, Hiroshima twinned with the West German city of Hanover that was itself very badly damaged by 88 British and American air raids between 1940 and 45, with 7,000 civilian deaths and 60% of the urban area destroyed. Tram number 238 is a World War II German tram that was damaged in the air raids on Hanover and given as a gift to Hiroshima in 1983. It runs through the Christmas season annually. Along with the ruined shell of Hiroshima Observatory, preserved as a memorial in downtown Hiroshima today, standing amid the gleaming modern buildings, every day 2 of the trams that survived the bombing trundle past this visceral reminder the 6th of August 1945, as they had been doing for the 79 or so years since the bombing, as well preserved and functional today as they were before the bomb dropped. Many thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share, and also visit my audiobook channel, War Stories with Mark Felton. You can also help to support both of my channels at PayPal and Patreon. Details in the description box below.